Imagine this. London, 1720. Everyone's getting rich overnight. A company promises to unlock unimaginable wealth from the South Seas. Politicians, nobles, even geniuses like Sir Isaac Newton rush to invest. Then, in just a few months, it all collapses. Fortunes vanish. Britain's entire economy breaks. This isn't a story about crypto. This isn't Wall Street. This is the South Sea bubble, the original get-rich-quick scam that bankrupted a nation. To understand how this happened, we need to go back a few years. In the early 1700s, Britain was fighting a series of endless, expensive wars. The government was drowning in debt and desperately needed a miracle to manage it. That so-called miracle arrived in the form of the South Sea Company. It made a bold offer. It would take on Britain's massive government debt. In return, it promised to generate unimaginable riches from exclusive trading rights with the Spanish colonies in the New World. It sounded like the perfect solution, a win-win for everyone. But there was one huge problem. The entire plan was built on a fantasy. The company's pitch was simple and intoxicating. We'll trade valuable goods with the Spanish colonies and pay our investors huge, guaranteed profits. Parliament, eager for a fix, gave the company a monopoly on this trade. As you can imagine, investors rushed in. The company's masterminds, Robert Harley and John Blunt, engineered a brilliant but dangerous new idea. They allowed people to trade their government debt directly for company shares. This was the start of Britain's biggest, most audacious financial experiment. By 1719, the hype was inescapable. Everyone was talking about South Sea shares. With the government's backing and even the king's friends invested, what could possibly go wrong? A massive propaganda campaign kicked off, convincing the public that the company owned the future. What followed was pure madness. The price exploded as people borrowed every penny they could to buy shares. Servants, tailors, aristocrats, everyone was chasing quick wealth. It was a frenzy. New, absurd companies popped up everywhere, trying to cash in on the mania. There was a company for importing donkey milk, another for building submarines, and even one that brazenly promised, well, nothing at all. Mania had completely taken over London. Everyone believed they were rich, at least on paper, but they were all about to find out the devastating truth. The so-called trade profits the company had promised, they were almost non-existent. The trade with the Spanish colonies never really materialized. It was all just promises and hot air. As the truth began to leak, insiders who knew the company was a hollow shell started selling their shares secretly. Panic set in. Word spread like wildfire through the city. Fear quickly replaced greed. And then, the crash. The share price plummeted from its high of £1,000 down to nearly zero. In a matter of weeks, Britain woke up and found itself broke. The fallout was catastrophic. Thousands of people lost their life savings. Lords, merchants, and even the brilliant scientist Sir Isaac Newton were financially ruined. Newton famously lamented, "I can calculate the motions of heavenly bodies, but not the madness of men." The public was furious. Angry crowds protested in the streets. The government was forced to launch investigations, which uncovered deep-seated corruption reaching the highest levels of power. Directors of the company were arrested, and their assets were seized to compensate the victims. In response to the crisis, Parliament passed the Bubble Act of 1720, a law designed to prevent similar schemes by banning the formation of new public companies without a royal charter. But it was too little, too late. The damage was done. A politician named Robert Walpole eventually stepped in to calm the chaos and stabilize the economy. But public trust in the financial markets was shattered for a generation. The South Sea Company itself limped on for decades, a ghost of its former self, a permanent reminder of greed and regret. Does any of this sound familiar? A frenzy of hype, skyrocketing prices based on little more than belief, and then a sudden, devastating collapse. We see these patterns today. The crypto booms, the meme stock frenzies, the NFT explosions. It's the same human story playing out with new technology. As the saying goes, history doesn't repeat itself, but it certainly rhymes. And greed, it seems, always finds a new mask to wear. So, What can we learn from the South Sea bubble 3 centuries later? I think there are 3 timeless lessons. First, know what you're actually buying. If the source of profit sounds vague or too good to be true, it probably is. Second, when prices are rising far too fast, it's a time to be afraid, not greedy. Bubbles always burst because they are inflated by belief, not value, and belief is fragile. And third, while regulation can help, it can't completely stop human greed. The best defense is awareness and a healthy dose of skepticism. The next time you hear someone say, "Don't worry, this time it's different," I want you to remember London. 1720. Remember the South Sea bubble, because every generation seems to think it's smarter than the last, right up until the moment the bubble bursts. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of history's greatest financial disasters, please like this video and subscribe for more stories about the hidden history that shaped our world. History is always whispering warnings to us. The real question is, are we willing to listen? Thanks for watching.